if you're going to do photojournalism, we need a device. We need a tool to take pictures. Of course, you can take pictures with your smartphones, with your mobile phones. You can also take pictures if you have the compact camera or the point-and-shoot cameras. But do try, if you can, to get access to a DSLR and use a DSLR and take pictures. So this is a DSLR camera, and this can help you to take a lot of pictures and start your career as a photojournalist. But please remember, it's finally just a camera. It's a camera that, like your friend, can help you see at the world through the camera and take the images that you like to take. It is not an object to be afraid of. It is not an object to feel that, oh, how will I do it? How will I manage the camera? It is just a camera. But in your hands, it can turn to magic. So how do we start photography? How do we start photojournalism? We have our experts with us in this massive open online course who will show you how to use a DSLR camera.
It is always good to treat your camera as a good friend and take care of it as much as possible. So one very, very important thing to remember is always wear the strap. So you can actually have your hands free to do other things, plan the shot, and the camera will just not fall off, and you will not accidentally leave it anywhere else. And in most cases, what happens is the camera tends to swing if you hold it with a single shoulder. So it's always good to wear this. In case you find this difficult, all you have to do is you have the strap, you can actually wind it around your hand like this. We prefer doing that because then it gives you a very good control to take it and hold it like this. And if you do this, the camera will definitely not slip. And that's a very important thing, because for all your photographic work, this is going to be your best friend.
A DSLR, this is how you hold a DSLR. You have your thumb and middle finger for zooming, and your right hand is here to, as you say, press the shutter release button or click. Then you have your thumb for the main control dial, and you have to look through the viewfinder. When you look through the viewfinder, you don't have to take your eye off the viewfinder in case you want to change the controls. You can just change the dial, you can change the mode, and you can shoot. Some people, of course, would like to have a look at the display screen, and this is how they do it. But I would prefer, and I would advise all of you to get used to looking through the viewfinder, because when you look through this, you will be distracted, because there are other things which are not coming into the frame which you will be seeing. So here you concentrate only on the frame or only on what you are shooting. So it's better to get used to looking through the viewfinder when you are using a DSLR. A DSLR is a digital single lens reflex. Now you can go vertical. When there is a vertical frame, this is how you shoot. Vertical frame. Again, your left hand is below the lens. It's both for support and to do your zooming. And again, when here, horizontal, here, support is here, and then this is for zooming. Now, what is the safest shutter speed you think you can handle the camera? The slowest, I mean. 1 second, 1 second is just this. Can you do it? All those who say yes, you are terribly wrong. Not even seasoned professionals can keep the camera steady for handheld operation at 1 second. Now, what is the safest shutter speed you could shoot, or the slowest shutter speed you could shoot without having a camera shake? There is a thumb rule for it. The thumb rule says the shutter speed should be twice the focal length of the lens. For example, if you are using a 50 mm lens, your shutter speed should be 1 by 100 or 1 by 125. If you are using a 200 mm lens, your shutter speed should be 1 by 400, and if you are using a, let us say, a 500 mm lens, your shutter speed should be 1/1000 for avoiding camera movement or camera shake. After you get a little experience, a little more this thing, you could probably lower the shutter speed by one stop. Supposing it says 1/125, you could try at 1/60. That is about all. Do not go lower than that. And when you are doing this 1/60, put the VR on.
Can you share with the students on the technical preparedness, on the technical levels, how do we need to be prepared so that we are ready for any situation and we don't feel, oh, I missed this and how will I take a photograph?
As much as the story is in the front, the backstage is where all the work happens, and that is your equipment, your team. So let's talk about the equipment first. So if we are looking at a photojournalistic process, then the tool that you're going to be using the most is your DSLR camera or your compact camera or even your mobile phone. So one thing is absolutely essential is that the equipment is actually alive. So if you switch it on, it should switch on, which means that you need to be looking at whether the battery is completely charged, whether you have extra batteries, then do you have enough memory cards, and most important, are the memory cards empty so that they can record what you're going to be recording in your program. Secondly, are you familiar with that particular camera that you're using? Because sometimes it so happens that your camera might have gone for service, so you might be using another camera which might be a totally different brand. And in case you think that you're not familiar with it, have you actually looked at it before to understand where the menu controls are, where the controls are, where the switch on, switch off is, all those things. And once you have got all this in place, make a dry run where you're going to be actually pretending that you're shooting. So you put the camera on, check whether it is switching on, then you put your memory card, then you put your battery, switch the whole thing on, put it on a tripod or pretend to hold it in your hand, whichever way you're going to do the recording, and then you actually do it. Run the camera, check whether it is recording at all or not. And in case you're planning to use a microphone, just make sure that the microphone is also on, the battery for the microphone is in, connect the microphone to the camera, and of course you'll be wearing the headphones, or you might be able to even see the recording is there in case you're doing a video recording or a video output. So these are all the ways in which you can actually check. And in fact, one of the most amusing things that happened to me was the fact that we believe in shooting in the raw mode, by which you get all the information from the sensor and you can later take it back to your computer and do all the image processing. Finally, it so happens that I was using a camera that I was not familiar with, and I expected the person who gave me the camera to have done all the settings, because I told him what exactly I need. I told him I need the raw mode, I need the maximum raw size, I need a particular color space, I need a particular resolution, I needed a particular white balance. He nodded his head, but he was nodding it on the other side of the phone where I was speaking, so I didn't see him nodding his head either. At the end of it, the program started, he huffed and puffed and came in and gave me the camera and said, Venkat, this whole thing is ready, start shooting. After completing the entire shoot for 1.5 hours, I finally find the whole thing is being shot on JPEG. It was not even in the raw mode. And here I was with underexposed pictures, overexposed pictures, all those fantastic experiments I did thinking I'm shooting in RAW, and the whole thing was in JPEG. That's because I assumed that whoever gave me the camera had already done it. And why did I assume that? That is because I was not familiar with the camera myself. It happens to the best of intentions to the best of people. So check the battery, check the memory card, check the menu, make sure that you have spare batteries and spare memory cards. Also, if you're planning to mount the camera on a tripod, just make sure that the tripod is a perfect tripod and doesn't start wobbling like this. And sometimes what happens is the screw doesn't fit perfectly into the camera, and finally you turn the camera and it starts going around like a roundabout. So all these are very, very important points to check. And very interestingly is that in case you don't have enough memory cards, just make sure that you're carrying your laptop with you so that you can actually take out one memory card, do a backup, immediately insert the next memory card and continue the work. Most of the time, we realize that we are shooting a lot more than we require, which is perfectly fine, but you need a backup. And the backup is very, very important. So always carry a laptop with you if necessary. So to sort of summarize, you have spare memory cards, you have spare batteries. Ideally speaking, carry a spare camera also. You have done a dry run, you have checked the cameras working perfectly, you are familiar with the equipment yourself. And most of all, people don't understand that the lens has to be cleaned. just make sure that the lens is not completely covered with either fingerprints or sawdust or just anything, any dirt over there. Ideally speaking, if it is a DSLR, just take out the lens, take your cloth, preferably a chamois leather cloth, and then completely clean both the sides of the lens. See if the sensor is also clean, because you don't want your images with black spots all over the place, because you can't sit and keep doing the processing later. So the lens has to be as clean as ever, including the camera free of dirt. All the controls are working perfectly in case you need to change anything in the last minute, and then you're finally on, and I'm sure that you'll get one of the best pictures output.